The seeker's restlessness. In the quiet village of Rajapura, nestled near the Himalayan foothills, lived a young man named Sikh. His name meant learner, a title his mother gave him, hoping he would grow to be wise. And he did grow, not just in body, but in questions. Sikh was not like other village boys. While they hunted, traded, and celebrated harvests, Sikh would sit by the river, watching the ripples form and vanish. His father often scolded him, "You waste your youth staring at water and clouds." But Sikh was searching, not for treasure or fame, but for meaning. One night, lying under the stars, he asked, "What is the point of this life? Why do we suffer? Is there peace anywhere?" The village priest offered prayers, the trader offered wealth, the hunter offered thrill, but none of it satisfied the ache in Sikh's soul. Then one day, an old traveler passing through mentioned a name, the Buddha, the enlightened one, who taught not from scriptures but from experience, who had once been a prince like others, yet renounced it all to find truth. "Where is he now?" Sikh asked urgently. "Near Sravasi, I heard," the traveler said, "teaching those who seek." And Sikh, with nothing but a cloth bag, set out on foot, toward a master he had never met, but whose words called to his eye. Meeting the Buddha, after weeks of walking through dense forests, across rivers and dusty roads, Sikh arrived at Jetavana, the monastery gifted to the Buddha by a wealthy merchant. The gates stood open. Monks moved quietly, some sweeping, some meditating, others teaching small groups. He approached one. "Please, may I see the Buddha?" The monk, observing Sikh's wearied face and hopeful eyes, nodded gently. "Follow me." "Do you know the nature of fire?" he asked. Sikh blinked. "It burns. And what if you place your hand in it? It will hurt." "Exactly," the Buddha said. "The world burns with desires. We touch these desires and wonder why it hurts." Sikh looked down. "Then how do I stop touching the fire?" Buddha smiled faintly. "By understanding its cause." And so began Sikh's journey, not outward, but inward. 9. The Four Noble Truths. That evening, under moonlight, Sikh sat with the Buddha and others. The Buddha spoke. "There are four noble truths, as clear as the path before your feet. Life is dukkha. Suffering exists. There is a cause of suffering: craving, attachment, and ignorance. Suffering can cease through letting go. There is a path to end suffering, the Eightfold Path." Sikh listened as if hearing the voice of the wind itself, not just sound, but essence. "Craving is the thirst that never ends," Buddha said. "You drink salt water and wonder why your mouth is still dry. This is not easy," he said, "but it is simple." Then he spoke of the Eightfold Path. 8 ways of being that extinguish the fire within. Right view, seeing things as they are, not as we wish. Right intention, thinking with kindness and clarity. Right speech, speaking truthfully without harm. Right action, doing what is just and good. Right livelihood, earning by honest and ethical means. Right effort, working to overcome evil and grow good. Right mindfulness, being fully present. Right concentration, deep meditation and awareness. Sikh spent months practicing. He struggled with right speech, catching himself often in gossip. He failed at right intention when jealousy crept into his thoughts. But the monks helped him, and slowly he changed. V. The fire within. One evening, Sikh sat meditating under a tree when anger surged. A jealous monk had mocked his slow progress. Sikh clenched his fists, heat rising in his chest. He opened his eyes and walked straight to the Buddha. "Master, why do I feel such rage, even now? I thought I was changing." Buddha looked at him quietly. "Do you know the nature of fire, Sikh?" He nodded. "It burns. And what feeds fire? Fuel, wood, oil." "Exactly. Your anger is fire. The words of others are only sparks. But it is your pride and fear that feed it." Sikh closed his eyes. He saw it now. How he still clung to.
The world doesn't care about your peace. It feeds off your reaction. The more emotional you are, the easier you are to control. The more you care what people think, the more they own you. And as Buddha once said, you will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger. That one truth alone explains why most people suffer, not because of what happens, but because of how they respond. But what if you could walk through betrayal, manipulation, and judgment and feel absolutely nothing? What if no one could shake your peace, not even life itself? Today, we're diving into 10 brutal yet liberating Buddhist principles that will make your mind untouchable. These aren't soft, sugar-coated ideas. These are hard truths, and they'll set you free. 1. People use you until you stop letting them. It's a hard truth, but one you need to hear. People will continue to take advantage of your kindness for as long as you allow it. The more you give without setting boundaries, the more others begin to expect, and eventually they stop appreciating it. Kindness is a beautiful quality, but without wisdom and limits, it can quickly turn into self-destruction. Buddhism teaches compassion, yes, but not at the cost of your self-respect. True compassion includes knowing when to say no, when to walk away, and when to protect your own peace. You're not being cruel by creating distance from those who constantly take from you. You're simply choosing to honor your own energy. When you continue to give while others continue to take, you slowly begin to lose yourself. Your kindness becomes a burden, not a blessing. And here's the painful part. People will rarely stop using you out of guilt. They will only stop when you stop allowing it. So, draw the line. Create space. Respect yourself enough to recognize when someone is only around for what you can do for them. You are not here to be everyone's emotional dumping ground or personal problem solver. You are here to grow, to heal, and to protect the light within you. Remember, protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred, and no one else is going to do it for you. 2. Your emotions are being used against you. Most people don't realize this, but your emotions are one of the easiest ways for others to control you. The moment someone knows what triggers you, what makes you angry, insecure, jealous, or desperate, they can push those buttons anytime they want. And once they can control your emotional state, they can control your behavior, your decisions, and even your peace. Buddhism teaches us not to suppress emotions, but to observe them without attachment. When you react blindly, you're handing your power over to whoever triggered you. Think about it. How many times have you said or done something you later regretted, simply because someone got under your skin? That's not power. That's emotional slavery. The world is full of manipulation, from social media to toxic relationships to environments designed to provoke strong emotional responses. Why?
Drew!
Why? Because emotional people are easier to control. Fear, anger, jealousy, and desperation can cloud your judgment and lead you down a path that isn't even yours. To stay mentally unaffected, you must become emotionally intelligent. You must train yourself to pause before reacting, to sit with your feelings instead of being ruled by them. You can feel anger without lashing out. You can feel fear without running. That's the strength Buddhism builds. Calm in chaos. Awareness in emotion. Remember this: the more emotionally reactive you are, the more easily you can be controlled. But when you master your emotions, no one can use them against you. You become unshakable, and that is true mental freedom. 3. Kindness without power is self-destruction. Kindness is one of the most respected virtues in Buddhism, but kindness without strength becomes a weapon used against you. The world doesn't always reward those who are nice. In fact, it often tests them. If you're constantly kind to others while allowing them to walk all over you, you're not being spiritual, you're being silently destroyed. Buddhism teaches balance. Compassion must be paired with wisdom. Too often, people confuse being kind with being passive, and that's where the suffering begins. You say yes when you want to say no. You keep giving chances to people who don't deserve them, and you smile to keep the peace while dying inside. That's not enlightenment. That's emotional self-betrayal. Here's the truth. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Some people see your gentle nature.
Buddha and the Insult, a story of anger and control. Beginning, a village morning. Long ago, in the Magadha kingdom, there was a small village, peaceful, green, and filled with simple people living humble lives. Among them lived a young man named Arjun. He was a farmer by profession, but his temper was his biggest weakness. Even the smallest disagreement would set him ablaze. His anger was sharp, sudden, and dangerous. People avoided him. Even his own friends kept their distance, afraid of his unpredictable behavior. Arjun himself knew that his anger was ruining his life. Yet he could not control it. It was like fire. Once it began, it would burn everything around him and leave behind only regret. The arrival of the Buddha one day, a message spread through the village. Gautama Buddha had arrived in a neighboring town with his disciples and would visit their village the next morning to give a discourse. The villagers were filled with excitement and reverence. They began preparing the village streets with flowers and lights. But Arjun was irritated. Watching people clean the roads, decorate trees, and prepare garlands made him uneasy. He thought, who is this Buddha that everyone is going mad about? What can he teach me about life or discipline? I work hard. I fight my battles. I don't need a monk's words. That night, Arjun made a decision. He would go and insult the Buddha in front of everyone, expose him as a fraud, and show that no one could remain calm in the face of insult. The insult at the assembly. The next morning, under the shade of a grand peepal tree, Buddha sat on a simple mat. His disciples surrounded him. Villagers gathered in silence, eager to hear his words. There was an atmosphere of serenity, a calm stillness that seemed to envelop the entire place. Buddha began to speak. His voice was soft, filled with compassion. But just as he started, Arjun stood up and shouted, "You fake! You come here dressed in orange robes, pretending to be enlightened. What do you know about real life? All you do is mislead people with your empty words. You are a fraud, a coward, a beggar." Gasps spread across the crowd. Everyone turned toward Arjun in shock, then to Buddha, expecting anger, perhaps a rebuke. But the Buddha simply sat there, silent, serene, unmoved. After a pause, Buddha slowly looked up at Arjun and asked gently, "Son, if someone offers a gift to another, but the recipient refuses to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" Arjun was confused by the unexpected question, but replied, "If the person doesn't accept the gift, it stays with the one who offered it." Buddha smiled and said, "Exactly. In the same way, I do not accept your anger, your insults, your bitterness. They remain with you." The crowd fell silent. The message had pierced through everyone's hearts like a ray of light. Arjun, however, stood frozen. For the first time, someone had not responded to his fury with fear or rage, but with truth and calmness. Arjun's restless night. That night, Arjun could not sleep. The Buddha's words echoed in his ears again and again. "I do not accept your anger." He tossed and turned, reflecting on his life, his habits, and his constant inner turmoil. Why couldn't I control myself? Why did this man's calmness shake me so deeply? He realized that the true strength was not in shouting or reacting, but in staying calm when everything within you wants to explode. The apology and the teaching. The next morning, Arjun walked to the same peepal tree where Buddha and his disciples were staying. This time, he came with folded hands and tears in his eyes. "Lord, forgive me," he said. I insulted you, but you gave me wisdom in return. I don't want to be ruled by my anger anymore. Please teach me how to control it. Buddha welcomed him with a gentle smile and said, "Come, sit beside me. Let me tell you a story." The story of the angry king. There was once a powerful king, Buddha began, who was feared across many lands. But he had one great flaw: his uncontrollable anger. Servants feared him, ministers obeyed him blindly, but all were unhappy. One day, a wise sage visited the court. The king welcomed him respectfully. The sage said, "O king, I have a question. When you become angry, do you feel peace?" The king replied, "No, I feel like I'm burning. My heart races, my body shakes, and I lose control." The sage smiled and said, "Then why do you cling to something that burns you from within? Anger is not a weapon, it is poison." That day, the king began his journey of transformation. Buddha looked at Arjun and said, "Anger is a fire. If you hold on to it, you are the one who burns first. Recognize it, watch it, do not feed it, and it will pass like a cloud." The practice of self-control. Buddha began teaching Arjun simple methods to deal with anger. Mindful breathing. Whenever anger arises, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. Feel the air going in and out. This slows the mind. Question the emotion. Ask yourself, is this anger useful? Will it solve the problem or will it add more pain? Compassion. Try to see the other person's suffering. Often, those who hurt us are themselves hurting. Silence. In anger, say nothing. Silence prevents damage. Speak only when your heart is calm. Daily meditation. Train your mind daily like a warrior sharpens his sword. Meditation gives you inner strength. Arjun began practicing these teachings with dedication. At first, it was difficult. His habits pulled him back, but slowly he changed. Transformation of Arjun weeks passed. Arjun no longer reacted immediately. When someone insulted him, he breathed. When someone lied to him, he paused. His eyes, once filled with fire, now held compassion. People in the village noticed the change. Children no longer ran away from him. Friends returned. Even enemies softened before him. One day, a man who had once quarreled bitterly with Arjun came to him and said, "You're not the same Arjun anymore. You used to terrify everyone. Now, you speak with such peace. What happened?" Arjun smiled and said, "I met someone who showed me that peace is not weakness. It is the greatest strength." The village transformed. As Arjun changed, others followed. The village slowly became more united. Quarrels reduced. People learned to listen, to understand, to forgive. Children were taught not just farming and crafts, but also meditation and patience. Buddha's visit had planted a seed, and it was now blooming into a garden of wisdom. Buddha remained in the village for a few more days, teaching, guiding, and blessing all. Before leaving, Arjun asked him one last question. The final conversation, Lord, Arjun asked, "Can anger be completely eliminated from the heart?" Buddha responded, "Anger is not an enemy. It is a messenger. It tells you that something is not right within. Don't suppress it. Don't act on it. Just understand it. Like a wound needs attention, anger needs awareness. And when your awareness deepens, anger dissolves. Not because you fought it, but because you no longer needed it. Real power," he continued, "is in remaining calm when you are provoked. That is true mastery of the self." Conclusion. A life-changing lesson. This is not just Arjun's story. It is the story of all of us. Those who struggle with anger, who hurt others without meaning to, and who want to change. Buddha's teachings show us that you can refuse to accept insults, they return to the giver. Anger doesn't need to control you. You can observe it, understand it, and let it go. Peace is a choice and a practice. Compassion can break the cycle of violence. Strength lies in patience, not in shouting louder. Words of the Buddha, "He who conquers himself is greater than one who conquers 1,000 enemies in battle." If you'd like, I can also create a series based on Arjun's continued spiritual journey, or